in their last game, which gave them some mathematical certainty, the certainty of playing in La Liga again next season. It's been a tough campaign for the club from Sevilla, but that victory over Osasuna means mathematically safe of relegation, and they can now start to look to the future. Also with the news this week that Manuel Pellegrini has been appointed the new Real Betis coach. He will take over from next season. So Alexis Trujillo remains in temporary charge, for he will return to his normal job upstairs behind a desk and helping Pellegrini begin to build for the future. So Betis, with salvation, can come here with a little bit of freedom and maybe, for the first time in quite a long time, just enjoy their football, something that's been thin on the ground for Betis over the last few months. For Atletico, it's been an excellent return to football. 8 games played since the resumption of La Liga. They've won 5 of them and drawn 3, so unbeaten so far, and really starting to look a pretty formidable force again. And Diego Simeone, well, he's done it again. He's been able to overcome some early and mid-season difficulties and once again moulding a team that is looking capable of competing with anyone. And there's a fair amount of continuity within the Atletico ranks as well over the last few weeks, and starting to get the look of a settled starting 11 from Simeone, who, especially during the first few weeks of the season, was looking as though he was painting by numbers a little, just trying to find a formula that would work for his team, especially going forward. But they're on the path now, and we'll look to solidify that with this home meeting with Real Betis. 1 week to go, of course, in this La Liga Santander season, and there's still a lot to be resolved. We just saw Barcelona get a victory over Real Valladolid, which means they are still hoping in the title race. That moves Barcelona back to within a point of the league leaders, hoping that they will slip up. Real Madrid next back in action on Monday night when they take on Granada. We also have the relegation battle to be sorted out. Alaves losing last night against Real Madrid. They're down in a bit of trouble at the bottom, and Mallorca, hitting form, are looking to move away from that drop zone. But one thing that can be settled tonight is Atletico once again claiming a place in the Champions League for next season. Another top 4 finish beckoning for Diego Simeone's men. So the players heading out onto the turf at the Wanda Metropolitano. It's Atletico Madrid against Real Betis. I'm very pleased to be joined by Graham Hunter tonight. Graham, good evening to you. And well, he's done it again, hasn't he, Diego Simeone? There was a lot of criticism of him earlier in the season, a lot of suggestion that he might have to change radically, or that Atletico would have to change him. But here they are again, challenging for the Champions League crown and looking like they're on the verge of another Champions League finish.
Evening, Andy. Lovely game in prospect. The highest paid manager in Europe, Diego Cholo Simeone, by a long distance. Yes, you're right that as we look at the lineups, he's done well up to a point, but I think that we can constructively criticise. I'll let you look at the lineups.
Well, there's just 2 changes for Atletico from their last game, which was a 1-1 draw at Celta Vigo. Mario Hermoso comes into defence to replace the injured Jose Maria Jimenez, and Kieran Trippier returns at right back. He's been alternating playing time with Santiago Arias at the moment. So Alvaro Morata will lead the line, supported by Angel Correa and Marcos Llorente. The referee today is Jose González, meeting the captains, Coque and Andrés Guardado. And the Betis lineup shows plenty of changes. Alexis Trujillo, the interim coach, has made 6 changes from the side that beat Osasuna. One of those is Sergio Canales back from suspension. 3 of them are in defence, where Marc Bartra and Sidney come back into the middle. Antonio Barragan at right back. William Carvalho returns to the centre of midfield alongside Guido Rodriguez and Andres Guardado, and Canales back, as I say, to support Loren Moron, recalled to the starting lineup, and Nabil Fekir in attack. So Betis hoping to maintain their positivity, but Graham, as you were saying, Atletico finding their feet again as a formidable force.
I think so. I think that we could have asked a trophy of them this season. They're still competing for one, at least in the Champions League. I think that at the beginning of the season, given that we knew that both Real Madrid and Barcelona were in a period of turnover, a period of change, Atleti could have been tilting at the title. As they sit here with the Champions League tie still to come in August, with this match in front of us, as you've described, able to confirm them as in Champions League next season, there will be an air of satisfaction, and there's a team out there sufficiently good to give us good entertainment tonight.
Yeah, two teams who can provide plenty of entertainment. Betis in particular have never been boring to watch, even when they've been struggling earlier in the season. They always play an open, expansive, enjoyable game, and Nabil Fekir, one of the men most responsible for that. He's had a fine first season with the club, as Atletico look to be coming out with a fast start. Graham, they're playing at a high tempo early on and closing down Betis quickly. Looks like they want to make a point early on here.
I think there's often a whirlwind start from Atleti. Secondly, you pointed out that Trujillo, who's a new coach to this Verde Blanco side, has made 6 changes. You always try and probe whether everybody is understanding of their role, whether they're a little bit dopey at the beginning. It's an important thing to be prepared for when you come to the Wanda Metropolitano. Atleti will roar at you for the first 10-15 minutes if they can.
See if Betis can take the sting out of the game. Barragan plays the ball forward for Canales, and again that quick pressure from Atletico, and they win it back. Renan Lodi now, the left back, nicely inside for Morata. Thomas Partey keeps it moving over to the right for Stefan Savic. And now Kieran Trippier back in the team, looking to size up a cross, and sends a ball a little too deep on this occasion. And Canales lets it run. It's interesting with Trippier, Graham, it seems we've got a fairly settled side now for Diego Simeone, but one spot that does seem to be up for grabs is that right back position. He doesn't seem to be decided quite between Trippier and Santi Arias, and they've been basically swapping in and out of the team over the last few weeks.
I think if you listen to Kieran Trippier and what he felt about how he was treated at Spurs, why he wanted to come here, it was about being pushed, it was about becoming a better footballer. He is an extraordinary guy in terms of embracing both the football challenge and the cultural challenge. Well, patently he'll want to start every possible game he can. He will, I promise you, welcome the challenge, and you can understand why it might be that with Arias there's an option for Cholo Simeone, which every so often he will use.
There's a good turn by Angel Correa, finds Renan Lodi, plenty in the middle. Lodi sending in the cross. It was too close to Dani Martin, the young Betis keeper, but already we've seen the importance of the fullbacks to Atletico's attacking play. It's always been the way under Simeone, which Felipe Luis and Juan Fran so integral to their title-winning team, and now Renan Lodi, and for tonight Trippier looking to play that part.
There's one thing, Andy, I would say, you're absolutely right. There will be teams all over Europe that look on enviously at certainly the 3 principal wing-backs or high full-backs that we're talking about. They're crossing into Morata. There's a big difference between where Morata wants to receive the ball and where Costa wants to receive the ball. Costa was out suspended in midweek against Celta. Morata scored, he's kept his place. He loves the ball being played into him on the run. It's not just the fact that he's tall and a big athlete. He's very, very good in the air. The wing-backs for Atleti do not have a high percentage of successful crosses. That's something that I think in the coming months that lead us through the Champions League into the new season, that's something they need to refine.
Back with Dani Martin, the Betis keeper, who's only starting for the 3rd time this season, preferred at the moment to the regular starter Joel Robles, who made a couple of errors recently and has been dropped to the bench. It is a challenging time, this restart, for goalkeepers in particular. A number of them seem to have struggled, especially in the early weeks. Maybe they're finding their rhythm now, but Robles, one who hasn't been at his best. So Dani Martin, just 22 years old, is getting a chance between the posts for Betis at the moment. His team enjoying some possession at the back. Marc Bartra playing a pass, slightly risky one, to Fekir, who dropped deep to join in and was fouled by Saul from behind. One man we haven't mentioned yet, Graham, but who's been fundamental to Atletico in the last few weeks, Marcos Llorente, an amazing turnaround in his position, in the way he plays. He's gone from a defensive midfielder to an attacking midfielder, and he is in the starting lineup again today. So interesting to see if he can maintain his sensational outburst, really, that's followed his 2 goals at Anfield.
He's an exceptional footballer, but above anything else, he's a really fantastic athlete. Anybody who watched his play under Pellegrino at Alaves knew that he was a footballer of distinction, of intelligence. When he got back to Real Madrid, I could not understand, literally couldn't understand how misused he was, how little time he got. If eventually he's forced that move already, that's fine. Then he arrives here, and Cholo Simeone, who played in a similar position throughout the majority of his career, didn't seem to find room for him. But now, this idea that he can break lines, burst through tackles, create space, and he's got, I've heard you talking about it before, Andy, this concept of llegada, and the one that, I don't know if we're of the same generation, but when I was growing up, David Platt had at England this massive ability to arrive onto a ball, into the box at the right time from midfield or from second striker. And Llorente's got that, so I share your excitement about watching him.
And we see him right now, the highest player up the pitch for Atletico, which is something, the start of the season, when he was signed, if you'd suggested that, you would have got a few strange looks, because he was always known as a defensive midfielder, someone who protects the back four, but transformed in the last few weeks. Here's Sergio Canales making a run, but Renan Lodi can match him for pace. And Thomas Partey now finds Llorente, who helps it on to Koke. Ball forward, too heavily placed, and it's going to come back for a foul. But it was a chance to send either Morata or Correa through, just overhit by Koke on that occasion.
We've watched one of the principal flaws of Betis, irrespective of who the coach is. The original positioning of Marc Bartra, who's a quick athlete, was all wrong. In my opinion, he's had a woeful season, a 4 out of 10 season. That was a bookable offence, having lost his position. He reaches out, tugs the jersey, that's an automatic booking. Bartra's form has been something that Atleti, if he continues it here, Atleti need to take advantage of.
And he's returning to the team, Bartra, today, after being left out a couple of occasions recently for his poor form. He was substituted at half-time in the home game against Villarreal as Koke sends in the cross that's too deep, straight through for Dani Martin, and a player that has never really fulfilled what was expected of him when he came through the Barcelona youth system. He had a number of games starting and was seen by many as the next Piqué, as his eventual successor, but it really hasn't worked out for Marc Bartra, and this, as you say, has been a very disappointing season. I
know Piqué relatively well, and I remember his expressions, both verbal and facial, when people used to say that, because Bartra doesn't have a fingernail of the same talent, but above anything else, he doesn't have a modicum of the same tungsten tough sporting hardness, day in, day out, not just in matches. And that softness has led him to underachieve across his career. So he's back for Trujillo. Trujillo spoke before this game and talked about the need to protect energy. They were absolutely lovely to watch against Osasuna. It was a very, very fluid, enjoyable game. He said the changes are coming because after so long out and so many games, one on top of the other, I have to change.
High pressure again from Atletico. Thomas Partey winning it up the field, and stepping inside now is Llorente, finding Trippier. His cross into Angel Correa. Llorente, narrow angle, takes on the shot, across the face of goal and not too far wide, and there he is, already showing that newfound attacking threat. Marcos Llorente.
You see, even here, I think this is Llegada. Watch his anticipation. He's on the move there. That often when we talk about arriving, it's Llegada. We think about the edge of the box. That isn't necessarily the case to describe that talent. So when he releases the ball, he's watching and quick to sense that the ball can be laid off to him.
Already the goal threat coming from the informed Marcos Llorente as Loren Moron spins here to send in the cross. He's been battling all season with Borja Iglesias for the starting role up front for Betis. He's got the nod today.
Deservedly too. Smashing assist to make the third in midweek, and all season the better footballer than Puro Borja.
Fekir sending in the cross, looking for Loren Moron here, but it's easily cleared at the near post. And Thomas Partey has a little bit of space to advance. Looks long for Morata. One in the air by Bartra. Bounces down to Renan Lodi. And now Koke. Into Correa, who looks to get away from Guardado. And it's a great run from Angel Correa. Llorente next to him. Can he turn to get a shot away? Instead, the pass to Koke, and too close to the goalkeeper. Dani Martin makes a comfortable save, but nicely worked forward by Atletico, who started brightly here. 10 minutes played at the Wanda Metropolitano, but we've already seen plenty of threats from Diego Simeone's men.
Correa's a little pocket rocket. If you remember, his original transfer to Atleti was held up by the fact that he needed to get heart operation. I think there was a lot of fear about what kind of footballer they were getting. And even though he's yet to say...
Well, here's Llorente picking up a misplaced clearance by Sidney and driving through the middle. And Bartra having to come across and make the hurried clearance.
Rosed, Andy, Rosed, right?
Anywhere will do.
We'll come back to Correa in a minute.
Yeah, first the throw-in, which Kieran Trippier will take. Saul goes over to give him an option. Looks like he's going to wind up a long one. In the end, it does go short to Saul. And now Trippier penetrating for laying back to Saul. Good cross in, but Sidney is there. And the run from Fekir now, who's so dangerous in this kind of position, and that's going to be a yellow card without any doubt to Stefan Savic.
I think Savic can look at the referee and say, could you name Bartra? Do you remember what he did there?
What was different? Yeah,
they look for consistency, don't they, Andy? You know that. Footballers always say, look, whatever happens, we accept the rough and the smooth, but, you know, please try to be consistent.
And talking about Angel Correa, as you started to, similar in style to Nabil Fekir, with the low centre of gravity, the strength, the ability to break open defences. Fekir's probably got a bit more class on the ball, but similar bulldog-type players.
And he's a pocket rocket, little Correa, and I think one of the things that has prevented him since his move from San Lorenzo, saying this is my position, this is how many times a season I deserve to play, is the fact that Diego Simeone is not entirely sure about his best forward lineup, but Correa and Morata love to play together. And I think that's the key to Correa's future, is that Morata is younger, he's signed a long-term contract, Diego Costa's future is in jeopardy.
Here's Renan Lodi sending that cross, looking for Morata in the way you described a few minutes ago. Graham into his path, but it had too much height on it and runs behind. But that was exactly the kind of delivery that Alvaro Morata thrives upon.
It's strange that one of Morata's flaws, Andy, is that unlike the killer centre forwards whose blood goes cold when they see a chance, everything freezes and they do the right thing, and it's as if there's silence and stillness around them. Morata hears a symphony, a brass band, the 1812 overture in his head if he's close to goal with the ball at his feet. With the ball properly in the air, he's far, far more precise. He's far better at finishing chances. So, by default, they need to give him more of them.
It's Trippier looking for Correa, and Thomas Partey gets a foot in. I think he caught Guardado, but play going on because Betis have the ball, and Canales has support from Barragan. Canales for Fekir. Now Carvalho, nicely helped out by Canales to Barragan, pointing to where he wants the return pass, cut back, looking for Fekir. You could see the idea, and it was a good one, but Atletico had defenders in the way. But Betis showing they can play some fluid football coming forward. They've been second best in the first few minutes here, but we know they certainly have a lot of attacking talent. There was the earlier header won by Marc Bartra, who will have a tough examination tonight from Alvaro Morata. The Spain international has 12 goals so far this season in La Liga. And fair to say, Graham, Morata is now the #1 choice up front. He's pushed Diego Costa aside.
It didn't help Costa to be suspended for his 5th yellow card. It helped Morata that, however difficult they've been, he's on a run of scoring a handful of goals in the last handful of games. That's a record that every striker wants to be able to show to his manager. If I give you an honest answer, I'd say I'm not completely convinced. I think Cholo Simeone likes to rotate. He said very clearly, it's an unusual tactic, but he said very clearly, I don't want to play the two of them together. So it's one or other for the moment. Let's see what happens when the Champions League comes back. So it's a big question to each striker, saying, look, you need to outperform and outscore the other, because at the moment I've said in public, not just you two, you're not going to play together. He doesn't think they fit together.
Whereas Llorente, now playing up front alongside Morata and Correa, as you already mentioned, certainly do all fit together.
Agreed.
As Guardado sends in the cross that is cleared as far as Thomas Partey, and now Angel Correa up to Morata. Bartra stands his ground. William Carvalho, a player that Betis missed a lot this season,
so much.
Lengthy injury spell.
So much, and he's such a big unit that really, I mean, he's reasonably svelte tonight, but when he came back, he was too large. He wasn't ready to play the kind of athletic role, sprinting between the edges of the two boxes that really that is his best role. He's one of Cristiano Ronaldo's favourite players to be around. Ronaldo wanted him at Juventus. That deal couldn't happen.
He's an excellent passer of the ball as well, uses it well, and Betis missed that steadiness in the centre of the field.
Anybody who remembers Betis' brilliant 4-3 win at Camp Nou, authored by Quique Setien, Carvalho was the guy who was the sliding door between defence and attack again and again and again, opening Barcelona up.
Yeah, a game that often is referred to when Betis are talked about, and shows the potential that they have possessed for a while that they've never really consistently lived up to. And crazy to think that they were in the relegation mix until getting that win over Osasuna a few days ago. And Manuel Pellegrini, of course, a new coach. No doubt he's watching on with great interest, and it's a challenge for the players as well, these Betis players, to impress him, because he'll already be making his plans. Who do I want to keep? Who do I want to start with regularly? Who's going to be my key player? And these Betis players have got to impress him. And Sydney trying to get Morata off the ball, can't do so. Carvalho comes back and he was caught. So free kick, the foul by Llorente, free kick for Betis. And as I say, Graham, these Betis players aren't playing for anything now too much in terms of league position, but individually they're playing for the futures at the club. I
think that's right. I think we know what the engineer likes to have as his brand of football, whether it's Villarreal, there's Llorente's attempt that he wanted to get a corner for. It's a nice strike. The angle's horrible. If you put that in, you deserve a goal and a medal. But Pellegrini, whether it's Villarreal, Malaga, Madrid, City, the principal clubs of his career, he likes quick transitions. He likes football whereby teams get ripped apart. You win it deep. You play as fast and as elegantly as you can up the pitch. Therefore, the transition on the ball is something these guys will need to change. Guido can play a role in that. But for those listening and watching around the world, Andy, you and I need to explain that Seville is a city whereby, trophies aside, Betis are the dominant club. Betis are the side where the players will be pestered and harangued on the street by the fans. They need to take a couple of good results now that they're safe back down to their city. Ask any footballer there about his neighbourhood, what people say to you, the local cafes, restaurants, the schools their kids go to. They're playing for their futures. You're right to impress Pellegrini, quite agree, but they also have a very demanding public, whether the stadiums are full or not.
Yeah, and obviously painful for Betis fans to see Sevilla outperforming them by a long way, not just this season, but for most of the last couple of decades, really. Here's Trippier with a bit of space. Slides a nice-looking pass for Correa. Didn't have enough pace to get past Alex Moreno, but Correa, in his typical way, battles away to try and win it back. But it falls in the end to Loren Moron, who's rather isolated. He'll do well to keep the ball here, and he does. That's nicely done to get it back to Andres Guardado, who went for the crossfield ping, and it runs beyond Antonio Barragan.
I think and hope that Loren Moron, a local kid brought through the academy, is going to fit better under Pellegrini. Borja, we absolutely know, the Panda. Everybody was going crazy about him last season because on his first exposure to the top division, he was Espanyol's leading scorer, the principal reason for them being in Europe. He has looked for the predominant amount of this season like somebody who's wading through treacle. Sadly, even as the team improved under that man, Trujillo, Borja in midweek, I have to say, was playing a different sport from everybody else. It's patently a thing about confidence. Players were trying to coach him through it. Lauren comes on, creates a goal immediately for Alenia, and I think is a better link-up player for the Pellegrini style that's coming than Borja ever has been.
Yeah, Borja Iglesias with just 3 goals in 32 league appearances this season for Betis. Loren Moron has 9, and certainly has been the better striker for Real Betis, as the flag goes up against Renan Lodi, who was just offside. We saw behind Diego Simeone there, Mono Burgos. He quite suits the mask look, doesn't he? It goes well with him.
Just be careful where you're going with this, Andy. He listens back, you know.
I was moving on to compliment him and say
that's the thing.
Nearing the end of his era with Simeone on the bench. This is his penultimate game here at the Wanda Metropolitano, and it's going to be quite a shift when he goes. We'll return to him, because here's Loren Moron doing well. Now the support inside from Fekir, and it's very nearly turned into his own net by Mario Hermoso, who was grateful in the end to be able to turn it behind for a corner. But that is the counter-attacking play and the kind of transition that you say Pellegrini favours, that Loren Moron is capable of producing.
I agree. Our match director is asking whether he's onside or not. This is here. It's going to be something like a 60-40. Wins it, gets his feet sorted out quickly. What really needed to happen there was one of the two players running in Canales or Fekir to drop, to stop, and let him have a better angle for the cutback.
Canales with the out-swinging corner that goes through to the far post. Savic is able to get his head on it, and then Jan Oblak comes off the line and does what Jan Oblak does, gather cleanly. Now tries to release a quick long pass to Morata, but Dani Martin was alert.
Nice footwork too, Andy, from Dani Martin under pressure.
And a good opportunity for him. He's barely played all season. Before the game against Osasuna last week, the only time he started this season was at Barcelona, when Joel Robles was suspended, and that didn't exactly go to plan for Dani Martin. Barca with one of their best performances of the season, winning 5-2 on that occasion. But he's maybe under pressure now as Atletico attack. It's played in towards Coque, could fall loose for Llorente, and again, and fired home by Angel Correa. Fine left-footed strike. It was the third bite of the cherry for Atletico after Coque and Llorente couldn't get shots cleanly away. Angel Correa certainly did, and with his left foot he has absolutely buried that. A fine strike to send Atletico into the lead, and his 7th goal of the season.
We're going to have a look at it again, because the entire Betis defence are sure that the Argentinian is offside. But whatever the decision is, and we'll see it here, part of the credo, I think there's a foot out of line
looked
there.
Offside, didn't it?
But part of the credo that you live or die by if you're an Atleti player, because Guido makes a fantastic saving tackle there. But when this ball comes in, Atleti live and die by the credo of first ball, second ball, third ball. Whatever the decision, on or off, what we've seen in this exemplar of how Betis are just a split second too slow, and Atleti were on it like lions each time. If this is ruled out, we've still understood something about what makes Atleti successful.
A handball signalled, it seems, not an offside.
In the rebound from Guido's tackle, I think. And I swear
so
again,
no goal. No goal is the key point. Why it's been disallowed we can debate, but the fact is Correa's goal is wiped off.
Guido's penalty box tackle there, in effect then becomes a goal-saving tackle. It's absolutely extraordinarily timed, no question of a penalty kick. And the Argentinian who came from Mexican football, I interviewed him 10 days ago, and he talked about the need to get used to the fact that each rival here is a percentage above what he was used to, but that the ball moves more quickly. The entire game is sharper. And he said he was getting used to it. I think that interception there, reading the game and blocking, was evidence that he's telling the truth.
Nabil Fekir moves it back to Marc Bartra, and Sydney on to Alex Moreno, the left back coming forward. Got support from Andres Guardado here, the Mexican. Now Carvalho. Well, it looked like, as you say, it was disallowed for handball in the box, but it probably would have been offside anyway, even if that hadn't materialised. It looked as though Kieran Trippier was just beyond the line as he moved on to the initial pass. So a doubly disallowed goal, maybe.
Alexis Trujillo will be looking to see how does his team respond. Do they stay complacent because they got away with one, or do they up the ante a little bit? And little pieces of character like that in situations like the one we've just witnessed do matter to coaches who are assessing squads, teams, ideas for the future.
Mario Hermoso gets back to guide it to his goalkeeper. Hermoso back in the starting 11 today in place of Jose Maria Jimenez. There's a nice pass from Thomas Partey to Morata. Correa intercepted by Guido Rodriguez, again getting in a good position to intercept. He wins the header now, finds Fekir, and wide for Fekir to try to make headway against Renan Lodi. Closed down by 3 players, so he just goes back to Barragán. And Canales now finds Carvalho. Back to Canales. Betis certainly have been in the game in terms of their possession and looking to dictate the flow of the game at times. Atletico have had more of it, but Betis certainly looking capable of making things happen as well, as they try to do now with Carvalho finding Fekir. Into Canales, picking up a nice bit of space. Now Barragán with the cross that Savic is under to send away, and there is a lovely fluency about Betis when they play their passing football, Graham, as we see, I think, why the goal was disallowed. There, it came up off Llorente's elbow, didn't it, before bouncing to Correa. So that's confirmation of why the goal didn't stand. But Betis do play such pleasing football on the eye, and makes it even more frustrating that they haven't been consistent enough to pick up better results this season. As here's Loren Moron chesting it down. Now taking on the shot. Very powerfully struck one as well, but straight at Jan Oblak, who just plucks it out of the air.
Nevertheless, he's had an interesting 26 minutes, and I think that when you talk about this passing fluency, Trujillo had a big hand in his sports director role in helping create that, helping decide who's to be signed. And one of the things he's asking Loren Moran to do tonight is not to play as an out-and-out old-fashioned 9 who pins back one of the centre-halves. He's asking him to wait, to be very, very patient, such that the construction of football gets high up the pitch, so that the ball isn't put into Loren to hold up so that the midfield can be played in. Quite the opposite.
Nice ball by Llorente out to Renan Lodi. 2 in the middle for the cross. Instead it comes square to Llorente. Now Thomas Partey, who's got a great long-range shot on him, and there it is, fizzing low and hard. But Dani Martin, grateful to see it close at hand, that he didn't have to dive full stretch, because that was hit with power.
Just there, because he lets it bounce first, and I think he whispered a little prayer. You talked about Joel, who's on the bench. This is of course sore for Joel, because this is the club where he made the breakthrough, Atleti, where he was supposed to be the successor to some of the absolutely fabulous keepers at Atleti. Atleti have such a great record with the guys between the sticks, as we look at the correct reason for VAR ruling out the goal again. And number 9s, they've signed so well over the years, and Danny just let that bounce, but the ball stuck under his body, and I'm certain I saw a little phew from him there.
Yeah, it could have easily sneaked under his body. It was a very good shot from Thomas Partey, who's got 2 goals this season, and slightly surprising it's not more with the crispness with which he can strike a football from long range.
I would argue that as he's been given his preferred position increasingly by Cholo Simeone, because remember, he would sometimes play at centre-back, sometimes at right-back. He was even used as an auxiliary second striker. Now he's dominant in the centre midfield, but what he's allowed Saul to do is go forward. Partey has held his position defensively a little bit more than he used to. And I'll let you know this, big clubs are circling, both for Jimenez and Partey.
Here's Fekir. Opens it up for Canales, who's got Barragán going outside and back onto his left foot. He can shoot from distance as well. It almost turns into Fekir assisting himself unconventionally, as the shot cannoned off the back of his leg and almost into his path, and then in trying to win the loose ball he fouled Renan Lodi, who was shepherding it back to the goalkeeper. But talked about Thomas Partey's shooting power at one end. Canales can hit the ball too.
Yeah, they constructed the opening nicely, opening very cogently. I think what Betis are trying to do is not to be peppering the goal all the time, but trying to get within good range. That's what they're asking Lauren to be patient for. They're looking to construct openings so that they can push the ball into spaces just behind the Atleti defence. Oblak's such a good goalkeeper, you don't tend to beat him from distance, but close in, he's as fallible as anybody else.
Nearly as fallible as anyone else, maybe.
He's very, very good. I know how much you admire him.
Oh, yeah. Well, when you said that you don't tend to beat him from long range, my thought was, well, you don't tend to beat him from anywhere. But he does concede a few goals. Here's Barragan spinning to send it long. And Mosso wins a good header. Saul just dwelling a little on the ball, and Fekir finds Carvalho now. On the run, there's space on the left here for Cuadrado, and just past the far post. That did beat Oblak, but unfortunately for Betis, it was just wide as well. And unlike Saul to be so hesitant there, Betis winning possession well, and within a few seconds they were firing in a shot on goal.
I think if Carvalho had been confident to use his left foot, the ball would have been put into the Mexican's path slightly earlier and slightly further forward. The shot's very good. With the deviation of a couple of millimetres, it's at least hitting the frame, maybe going in. And it was that I was trying to explain. I think that Betis have been given the order that they don't need to try speculative things. They want to work their way up the pitch and try and get into to feel free. Because sometimes teams come here and freeze a little bit, to feel free to run the risk of being counter-attacked against, work their way up creatively to the top of the pitch, and then look for the goal opportunities.
We see João Felix in the stands there. He's another player who will very much figure in Diego Simeone's plans for the immediate future, the Champions League in August, and then on for next season as he tries to build another team capable of challenging for the title. And how do you think this Atletico team stacks up now, Graham, compared to what we've seen from Diego Simeone in the past? It was a poor start to the season, I think there's no doubt about that, but now they're building up a head of steam, unbeaten since the 1st of February, and still in the Champions League, as we said. It's starting to look like a proper Atletico team again. I
would argue strongly that they've solved one principal flaw, but not yet solved the other. Really almost dating back to the departure of Gabi and the degree to which Cholo Simeone and Mono Burgos disagreed about how the team should be, the team's philosophy, to be honest with you. One of the reasons that the assistant to Simeone, who was a goalkeeper, of course, for Atleti in the double-winning team, a tall beanpole of a man, now slightly more burly, he's moving away. There's been no breakdown in relationship, but it's understandable that Mono Burgos wants to impose his ideas of football, which broadly are a little bit more open, a little bit more front foot. Nothing radical, but Simeone's idea about caution at all costs, that 1-0 is fine, and that if you go ahead, then maybe what you look to do is to close things up. The really key thing was they didn't understand who should be the midfield organiser. Koke was played out wide sometimes. Saul was played all over the pitch, perpetually at left back, which he absolutely hated, because something of a schism between him and his trainer. Now that they've got established that Saul has got more liberty, Koke and Partey are the central two, there's balance where there hadn't previously been since Gabi left. Where they haven't solved the problems is how to get a better, more commanding goal total every season. That's their #1 task in the transfer market. And in allowing João Felix to play a central role in that, because he's had not a bad first season in La Liga, the young Portuguese forward, but not sparkling in the way that we can expect him to, and allowing him to become a bigger factor as we move into next season will be undoubtedly a focus for Diego Simeone. Teething trouble, let's call it. Yeah, we've seen his quality on a number of occasions, haven't we? But we haven't seen it consistently enough. We haven't seen him be the pivotal player in the attack. So it's going to be interesting to see how this Atletico team evolves. Part of which is going to be, how do they fend off Arsenal's interest in Thomas Partey, and how do they fend off Manchester City's interest in Jimenez? And Atleti, hopefully, with their Champions League wealth, will be able to do so. Now here's a nice through ball from Koke. Alvaro Morata away, trying to hold off Marc Bartra. Oh, and what a lovely finish that is. Beautiful goal from Alvaro Morata.
And what a cheeky way to finish it. First he held off Marc Bartra, had the strength and the pace to do so, and then as Dani Martin came out at his feet, the little dink. We'll look whether it was offside. My first instinct was that it wasn't. That shows it's going to be close. Lovely ball from Koke to release him, and then he had a lot of work to do, and he did it so well.
It's the type of finishing that he has been showing since his first spell at Real Madrid, including at Juventus, but perhaps not regularly enough. The ball is sensational. The two best things, even above the finish, that I like is that he was alert, because the pass is released very, very quickly. He's alert and he holds off Bartra. He must know who's next to him. He must know that he will not be muscled off the ball by Bartra. And I think as soon as he realises that, his focus is, I'm going to get there, this will be my ball. And that's where the crisp finish comes from.
Well, it's the 13th league goal of the season for Morata, if it stands. And, what do you reckon, Graham? I think that's just level. Maybe his arm's offside, but you can't score with your arm, so I think I'd say he's going to be okay. Agree?
I think that the clearest part of him that's offside is a part that you would not be allowed to score with, and therefore it looks as if it may be onside.
But we're waiting for confirmation.
It's such a good goal that, you know, I'm trying not to get too excited about it in case it gets ruled off. Like you, my eye tells me that the balance of doubt is in his favour.
But we will find out shortly. The referee, Jose González, waiting for confirmation. It's not down to him now, it's down to geometry and the lines they'll work it out with to see if that goal from Morata stands. And again, strengthening his case to be the number 9 for Atletico for the remainder of this season, whatever it may have in store.
That's right, and there are other things at stake too. He's very much liked by Luis Enrique, but he has to punch his weight for the Spain coach to select him. They've got games coming up against Holland and Germany. I know that Luis can't be ruled offside and interfering with play for parts of the body that you don't score with. The time they're taking, I know this frustrates fans and some journalists, but this is a really crucial moment. It's worthwhile getting it right. We've seen many, many VAR decisions over the last 10 days, which have been an absolute emblem for why VAR can be superb. Across the whole VAR system across Europe, human error, misjudgments can still come in, but to be fundamentally clear, this VAR review will leave the final decision in the hands of the referee on the pitch. Like you, I think the balance of Luis Simeone.
And the decision is offside. So we were both wrong, and it does not count. Another reprieve for Betis. 2 first-half goals disallowed for Atletico, 1 for Angel Correa and 1 for Alvaro Morata. And you know what I'm thinking back to now, Graham, is the Real Madrid game at Espanyol, where Karim Benzema controlled the ball with his shoulder, or was it his arm? Well, it was his shoulder.
Was that against Real Sociedad?
Real Sociedad, yes, you're right, sorry, yeah. It was the back heel at Espanyol, yes. And there we see Morata's shoulder offside, I guess. So in the same way that Benzema was reprieved for that goal at Real Sociedad because he controlled it with his shoulder.
Look at the knee. Look at the knee. That's why, you know, it takes time. That's why the technicians who are running VAR, they as long as we have that system, they have to take time to get it right. I think it's gratifying that when we see the result of the deliberations, we can understand it.
Atletico pressing again. Koke again looking to feed it into the area, trying to find Correa. It's scrambled away. And look at Jan Oblak, doesn't often come that far out of his goal.
Doesn't often bend that far down either, Andy, I'll tell you.
He showed good technique. People sometimes say he's not as good with the ball at his feet. Well, it was in his head there.
Exactly. So long as the sweeper-keeper idea was headed balls for him, it's one area of his game where he cannot compare with Alisson, Ederson, Stegen, and where he can improve, literally.
Llorente sends it inside to Correa. Koke was showing for the pass. Correa gets a shot away, and that was really well saved by Dani Martin, not just for the fact that he saved it, but for the fact that he held on to it, because we'll see on the replay, Koke was screaming in for anything loose had he not held on to it.
What a good game, irrespective of the fact that we haven't been blessed with a goal yet. What an enterprising, fun game, and that's now the second shot we've had, and I'm not clear where the potential injury has come.
Well, Santi Arias warming up, would imagine, for Trippier. But he looks okay.
I just haven't spotted. Because sometimes you can see the player saying, look, I need the change. Just not quite clear why that's happening.
Unless he was nursing something before the game and Arias is just keeping himself ready in case. But in that case, he probably wouldn't have started.
Let's wait and see.
Yeah, he does look to be okay at the moment, Trippier. Yeah. And here he is under pressure from Fekir. And the Frenchman does well to hold him off. Now the pass on to Guardado. It's Betis looking to come forward this time. Nicely inside to Alex Moreno. Cut back, it's going to come for Guido Rodriguez to shoot. Plenty of power, but not the accuracy.
Kids, when you're a decent footballer, this is why you have to have a left foot. As he's running onto it, if he's confident in his left foot, he strikes that without having to take a touch or a turn, and he gets a split-second advantage on Oblak, which, as you pointed out, you don't want to gift Oblak any kind of opportunity if you can possibly avoid it. Now, Andy, I'd love to be able to tell.
There it is. It's his ribs, is it? He's pointing to. Didn't see any sign of it. He'd been moving freely, but obviously there was a problem. You see here the shot earlier from Andres Guardado that fizzed wide of the post. One of the many goal chances we've had in this first half. We've had 2 goals disallowed. We've had a few near misses at both ends. So it's been an eventful game. And as you said a few minutes ago, an entertaining one. But this is a bad sign for Kieran Trippier, not just for tonight, but obviously for the remainder of the season. Only 1 week remaining in La Liga Santander, and then a short break before the Champions League. And let's just hope that Kieran Trippier is going to be able to play a further part in this campaign for Atletico, but he won't be playing any further part tonight.
A little note in the history book, he's been helped off by the Atleti doctor there, who was one of the doctors 10 years ago tonight in Soccer City, South Africa, where he and his national team won the World Cup.
Yeah, I was going to bring that up with you at some point, because I know you were there, and it's a memorable day, obviously, for Spanish football. And today there's been a lot of talk, a lot of reminiscing, a lot of happy memories. And as Trippier limps off with the doctor, it's just an incredible experience for you to be there, I'm sure.
You and I and the people who are watching us around the world on La Liga, television, are all our partner services. We love Spanish football for its tactical excellence, its technique, the flair, and the creative fun we get in watching it. And it's set new standards around the world, and that's when it reached its apogee. For a Spaniard, it's the World Cup. They were world champions. For everybody else, it was evidence of why Spain are so dominant, because they are the best at this sport and have been for many years.
We saw a Betis substitution as well, so as well as Arias replacing Trippier, we've had Alfonso Pedraza come on for Andres Guardado in the Betis midfield. So there must have been a problem for Guardado as well that hadn't been visible. 2 minutes to play of normal time in the first half. It's going to be a fair amount of added time, because we've had those 2 VAR reviews to rule out the 2 goals. So we're probably looking at 4 or 5 minutes of added time here.
It's a shame about Guardado, who was excellent in midweek, had the best goal opportunity for Betis tonight, and has been on terrific form. But Pedraza is just a bundle of fun, as they say here, a caja de sorpresas. He makes things up. He's hugely fast. He got on the score sheet against Osasuna, but both recently for Betis, because he took time to settle in. When he was at Villarreal, when he's on the ball, you're guaranteed fun.
Here's Thomas Partey on the ball for Atletico. Renan Lodi. Koke looks to ride the challenge of Barragan, but can't do so. And the Betis man, with a bit of a help of a deflection, plays it forward to Guido Rodriguez. Nicely on to Fekir, who runs into Hermoso. Defender standing his ground and coming away with the ball. Now Koke.
Chance right.
The game really is quite open and stretched at the moment. Llorente seeing what you saw then, Graham, that there was a run down the right by Arias.
Should have gone there, Andy, first time.
He couldn't get it there quickly enough. and in the end Betis were able to reorganise, and they look to come forward again. Loren Moron does well to hold off Llorente, and then maybe tries to be a little bit too clever, a bit too fancy with the back heel.
I mean, look, 44 minutes in, no matter how much we've got added on because of the stoppages, if anybody happens to be coming to listen to your commentary on Betis, seeing the green and whites for the first time, you'd have a job convincing them that they've had to sack coaches. You'd have a job convincing them that they were in relegation trouble, that it's been a club riven by philosophical strife, because they've easily held their own with 6 minutes to be added on, with the side which looks destined to get to a high level of the Champions League again, which knocked out the champions. Betis have been more or less their equal tonight.
Here's Fakir taking on the long-range shot, very ambitious. He's asking for a corner, saying it took a deflection on the way through, but I don't think the officials see it like that. As we see again the shot from Angel Correa a few minutes ago that Dani Martin, the young Betis keeper, did well to get down to and hold on to. Yeah, 6 minutes added time. I said it might be 4 or 5. It's even more than that. So we've got plenty of action to come still in the first half, as Morata slides a nice pass for Llorente, who tried to feed it onto Renan Lodi, and now Llorente is being caught by Barragan, who's going to get a yellow card for that challenge.
One of the things that people need to realise is Llorente is, or players like Llorente are brave in that situation. He knows he's going to get there first, and before the impact of the studs, watch this, he knows that he's going to get caught, and that's what you talk about, commitment to the ball. Llorente knows he has to win it at this club. There are some clubs where if you miss a challenge like that, then it's not the end of the world, but for Simeone that's not the truth. Llorente has that type of mindset, and he knows long before he clips it that Barragan is going to stand on him, and you've got to be tough mentally to accept that's coming, and a booking might be adequate punishment for Barragan, but it doesn't take the pain away.
Not too much pain though, fortunately, for Llorente. He's back on his feet as Koke stands over the free kick, and it's a good ball towards the far post, but just too much on it over the head of Stefan Savic, and behind for the goal kick. Koke with 5 assists so far this season, and nice to see him back in top form, because he had a real dip middle of the season, and there were even a few whistles against him from a few Atletico fans, and questions that he maybe wasn't worth a place in the team at the time, but he's recovered well and is playing really well since the restart.
They reached their apogee when it was Atleti at home to Football Club Barcelona. He was celebrating his 10-year anniversary at the club in the first team that weekend. They lost to a miracle Messi goal, and you're right, there was absurd discussion about whether he was part of their future, and I say absurd because irrespective of him being dyed-in-the-wool Atleti, a firm favourite of Cholo Simeone's, he's an extremely good footballer, and for the remainder of the season he's gone on to prove that, Andy.
Here's Carvalho bringing it forward for Canales. Now Barragan, cross towards the far post, is fired into the side netting by Loren Moron there, arriving late as the striker and coming from a left-sided position, which is something we've seen him do quite a lot today. And as you mentioned earlier, he's not playing as the traditional number 9, and illustrated by the fact that he arrived late at the back post onto that cross.
I think had he been playing more regularly recently, he would have arrived at the back post understanding that the angle that he arrived at, he hit the side netting. He wasn't going to beat Oblak apart from a miracle mistake from the keeper. That ball had to be volleyed back into the middle, looking for a teammate or a deflection of an Atleti defender. It looked spectacular. He made a firm, true contact, but it was the wrong option.
Just to finish on Koke, as you were saying, how integral he is to Atleti and has been for a long time. He's made 453 appearances for the club, and he's only 28 as Renan Lodi heads away. And Koke with at least 40 games every season for Atletico since 2011. He's just such a part of the fabric of the club.
And I swear to you, he's really important in understanding how both Partey and Llorente have improved in terms of their positional judgment, and Koke has given Cholo Simeone room to experiment with Llorente. That means your value to the team is very, very high.
Yeah, very much a team player. Final couple of minutes now of the first half injury time. Moreno steps inside, makes a nice run. Fekir lays it off very well first time, gets it back.
Slow.
Still Fekir takes on the shot. Renan Lodi blocks it. It bounces down as Pedraza mishit his ball back across goal. Pedraza looking to win it back though, and getting to the byline, and it's a corner at the end of it. A fast and furious passage of play there.
But I hope Naeem's not listening, because he adores Fekir. But that was criminal that Fekir didn't release the ball to Barragan. It was crying out. It was an absolute goal chance in the making. It had to happen, and Fekir got caught up in his own little magic dandelions in his head about what might happen if he just got a little bit of room. And I can see this going to the top corner. Release it to your right. It's a team game.
They do end up with a corner though, which will be delivered by Canales, headed over the top by Sydney. So goal kick, and probably the last action of the first half. Jan Oblak doesn't look to be in too much hurry as we move into the final seconds of the added time. So a half that, Graham, who do you think will be happy with, Diego Simeone or Alexis Trujillo?
There's nothing for Simeone to be angry about or to complain about, but Trujillo's seen a performance of substance and class, somewhat against the odds, with a striker who's playing not only lone but in positions where the ball isn't coming to him easily. Betis have fulfilled everything Trujillo asked of them. It's 50-50. Atleti could easily be ahead. You asked who'd be more satisfied. Betis, no question.
Betis have had a couple of escapes, of course, with the two disallowed goals. Angel Correa and Alvaro Morata both having goals chalked off, so it is still a stalemate as we reach the interval at the Wanda Metropolitano. But a very enjoyable game between two teams who are playing for now and also for the future. Atletico looking for the win to secure Champions League football next season. They haven't been able to move ahead just yet, but plenty more to come. Half-time, Atletico 0, Betis 0.
In a world filled with anxiety, keep calm under pressure, be resilient, and remove all doubts. Keep a clear head and show the world what you are made of. Clear Men.
They say I walk like a king, talk like a king. You can act around now, say the same thing. Wait for the king.
Welcome back to the Wanda Metropolitano. We're waiting for the players to come out for the second half of this meeting between Atlético Madrid and Real Betis. Goalless at the break. Atletico needing a victory to secure Champions League football for next season. And we're not just nearing the end of the season in La Liga Santander. Of course, it's the same in La Liga Smartbank, the Segunda División, and there's a game going on at the moment which could see Cádiz claim promotion. They are leading the league at the moment with 3 games to go. However, they are losing tonight against Fuenlabrada. If they win that game and come back in the second half, then they will go up, but it's an incredibly tight division. Earlier today we saw Huesca, who are in second position in the Segunda, having, you may well recall, being in the top flight last season. Huesca second position, losing at Racing Santander, who have already been relegated. Really is a league where anyone can beat anyone, and at the moment Fuenlabrada look like they might be ruining Cadiz's hoped for promotion party. So a lot to look out for in the Segunda as well, with Cádiz, Huesca, Real Zaragoza, Almería, Girona, Rayo Vallecano all currently in the top 6. And the season will finish next weekend, as will the top flight. Before then, the playoffs as well. So you'll be able to enjoy top quality Spanish football all the way into early August with those playoffs. So a long way to go yet. Now the players returning to the field now for the second half at the Wanda Metropolitano. I'm joined by Graham Hunter. And Graham, just talking about the Segunda División there, are there any teams you're particularly keen to seal promotion in the next few weeks? There's some big clubs down there.
Yes, it's unfair to pick favourites. I think if you were to do a sort of look around them, you'd say that whenever Cádiz come up, it's a party. The top division has been without a strong Zaragoza for too long. Catalonia just lost a team from the Primera in Espanyol, so at some stage you'd imagine that the investment that's been put into Girona and Stuani's extraordinary scoring season again, what a character that centre forward is. I don't want to say I'd like this team to come up, but beyond what you've said about the drama that viewers can see over the coming week, 10 days, there's quality everywhere, there's history everywhere, and that it's impossible to imagine that any of the sides that come up won't augment the pageantry, the drama, the intrigue of La Liga Santander once we kick off again in September.
Yeah, Christian Stuani, you mentioned, he's the leading scorer in the division for Girona with 26 goals this season. Second top scorer, here's a name to remember, Luis Suarez. No, not that one.
But yeah,
there's a really good player at Zaragoza, young Colombian. He's a rising star in the making, so maybe he'll be in the top flight next season as well.
On loan from Watford, if I'm not mistaken.
That's right, on loan from Watford, and his future's uncertain. Maybe, I think he'd probably stay with Zaragoza if they go up.
Smashing so buzz bomb of a footballer, Andy. You're right to identify him.
And not that different in style from the other Luis Suarez as well.
Ooh, big compliment.
So back to this one. We're ready for the second half. Atletico kicking off, potentially 45 minutes away from securing a top 4 finish, and looking to get straight on to the attack. Santi Arias in at right back for Kieran Trippier, who had to go off towards the end of the first half, so have to keep an eye out for news on Trippier. Hopefully he will be able to play again this season. Betis also with an enforced change in the first half, as Andres Guardado went off. Alfonso Pedraza coming on for him and in the left of midfield. Thomas Partey sends it down the line for Arias. Inside for Llorente. Just showed a little too much of the ball to Guido Rodriguez, and that forced him into the errant pass. Now cleared by Barragán. Hermoso and Saul back to Savic. And Jan Oblak with the pass, asking quite a bit of Savic. Not entirely sure he was ready for the return pass. Now Arias sending it forward for Correa. Looking for Arias again, but Sydney in good position. Teams going across the bottom of your screen. No further changes by the two managers at half-time to the enforced substitutions I mentioned. As Thomas Partey swings it in. And as much as Alvaro Morata loves a cross in the air, and as good as he is in the air, there's not much chance for him to do anything with that one. We see some of the substitutes warming up. Any inkling, Graham, who you feel Diego Simeone might turn to first to freshen things up going forward in particular?
Well, he's been enjoying Carrasco very much recently. Carrasco missed the midweek game because he was sick. As long as he's over that, you can imagine that his rangy, hard-running, direct style can influence this game and can pull Betis back towards their own goal. Vitolo is a banker for Correa at some stage. It's often those two who interchange. We also saw the Mexican Herrera, who I suppose has something of a similar profile to a Campos. The thing about Simeone is he has massive resources to choose from. At the moment, I think we both agreed that.
Here's Marcos Llorente into the area. Sends in the cross that was just behind Correa and just beyond Koke, dissecting the two of them.
Apart from one of the goal efforts being allowed, there's been very little wrong with what Los Colchoneros have given back to Cholo Simeone. So the two things that he might be looking for would be a change of strategy and freshness, just some explosiveness. And each of the three players we saw warming up bring that to a certain degree.
Yeah, Carrasco in particular could be a game changer. He had a very good game at the Camp Nou in the recent 2-2 draw, didn't he? That was maybe his best performance, well, certainly his best performance of his second spell with the club, I'd say.
In all honesty, I thought he was man of the match there, and I think that he's always carried that about him. He came on in Milan, most notably in the Champions League final, and not only got an equaliser but managed to turn the game. Alenya and Emerson there are two who played really well in midweek. Emerson at right wing back or right back, and Alenya has been a disappointment in terms of not just how much game time he's had, but there's been no noticeable development from him. But the goal he scored was a peach against Osasuna. It would be nice to see any of the three. Edgar was also out there coming on for Betis, because at various stages of the season they've shown that they have the class to open up a team like Atleti.
Pedraza to Alex Moreno. Nice flick inside by Fekir, and it's carried on now by Carvalho. Back inside to Canales, taking on the long-range shot, very ambitious, blocked by Hermoso. Atletico looking to play their way out of the back, but Savic in the end resorting to the anywhere will do clearance.
And the reason for it is something that we don't often see. Fekir is a lovely buzz bomb of a footballer. Technically he's exquisite. He can do special things that take you off your seat in admiration. Normally he couldn't spell pressing, but he anticipated that ball was going to come to Savic and set off on a run that we honestly don't see very much from him, and it made Savic panic and get rid of the ball. Well done, Fekir. More, please.
One of those players who enjoys playing with the ball more than without it.
Well said. More nice, said in a more friendly manner than I managed.
Well, we certainly enjoy seeing him with the ball as well. He's been one of the most refreshing arrivals in La Liga this season.
Oh, he's liquid velvet on form.
That's slightly overhit, looking for Pedraza, and now Jan Oblak can send it long. Sydney's under it. Moreno hooks away.
I mean, in all honesty, why? Just that's one of the changes that you could understand might be made. That Moreno could be replaced, Pedraza out wide, and some change to the midfield as Trujillo sees it.
You wanted to see a bit more composure from Moreno there, rather than just hooking it blind over his shoulder.
Unless there's a false call from a teammate saying get rid of it, which he didn't need to do, then the first thing if you're a Betis player is that you bring that ball down and you try to play it. That's why this team has been constructed in the manner it has.
Here's Loren Moron leading the line, looking to get through three defenders, and he's going to do so, and he chips Jan Oblak but sends it wide of the post. Well, he did the hard part to escape the attentions of three Atletico defenders. It all opened up for him, but then the finish was off the mark. Maybe he was intimidated by the sight of Jan Oblak bearing down on him.
It's the rebound here that sets him away. He gets a little bit lucky because Partey's tackle bounces back to Lauren off Savic, after which he does everything right except for the absolutely vital part. Even the chip itself is nicely judged, is the right way to finish. He just skews it a little bit to the right.
Llorente taking a tumble, asking for a decision in his favour, and he's got one. Here we see again the ricochets that saw it all open up for Loren Moron.
It's the technique only lesson down. Eye on the ball, he times it right when to release it.
There's Renan Lodi with the cross far too close to Danny Martin. Well, it was a similar kind of finish to the one Morata produced, wasn't it? Maybe easier, though, than Morata's disallowed goal.
The position is definitely easier, yeah.
Here's Fekir on the run and squeezes away the shot on his right foot. He wanted to get it back onto his left.
I suspect Pellegrini's watching this. I think he's watching it at home in Chile. And what he'll know already is that while Lauren won't be their only striker, and I think they'll try to move Borja on to recoup, which was a big outlay, Lauren is tied to the club for the next 4 years. It's a really important thing because not only is he talented, but he represents something for the city, something for the local academy. That always helps. At every club, yes, but Betis' identity is nourished by thinking that's one of ours.
Here he is on the ball after pulling away to the left again, something we've seen him do a lot today. Now he lays it back and they slow it down with Canales finding Carvalho. An evenly matched game. Atletico have had the better of it, had 2 disallowed goals, had a few more chances, but Betis absolutely in it. Fekir finds Canales. Another lovely player to watch. Betis have quite a few of those. Moreno back to Carvalho.
Yeah, I think if you speak to our colleague Andrea Orlandi, who played top-level football in Spain and England, then he would say that the advice that Betis need to listen to is to astutely reinforce their defence and how they defend. It needs to be a team effort. Too often it's been the job of 3 or 4 in the team this season. And I think that with astute reinforcing of the defence and the resources that they've got, with goals added, Pellegrini coming in, we can at least, and Pellegrini's promise was, I'm absolutely sure we can fight for European football. Easy words, but if you know the engineer, he doesn't say things cheaply. So I think with adjustments at either end of the pitch, that there can be fun watching this side again next season.
Yeah, the problem is that's what Ruby said at the start of the season, and even after things started to go wrong, he was promising a challenge for European places as well. So hope it is a better season for Betis, but for now they're going to have to face a triple change. And 3 attacking players coming on. Diego Costa, Yannick Carrasco and Vitolo all entering the action. So Diego Simeone, Graham, putting a clear message out. He's going for goals.
That's certainly true. I mean, nobody in red and white will have gone out there thinking that he didn't want to win. He'll be demanding a win. Whether it's 1-0 or 4-0, he won't care. You know, he's not a guy who says, I cherish entertainment and a 4-goal victory ahead of 3 points and a 1-0 win. I think he's answering what Trujillo said. These guys, all of them, were laid off for so long. They then have played an extraordinary amount of football in a short space of time. And what needs to be understood is that it's impossible for athletes to be at their best if they're playing every 72 hours. And that isn't just about physique or stamina. That's about how fresh you are creatively. It's
mental sharpness as well, isn't it?
That's the point. It's very easy to understand why those changes have been made at this time.
So it's Saul, Marcos Llorente and Alvaro Morata who have gone off. So Diego Costa leading the line now, with Vitolo playing just off him and Carrasco to the left. So maybe more of a 4-2-3-1 perhaps, Graham, with Koke sitting centrally alongside Thomas Partey, and then the 2 wingers with Carrasco and Correa, and Vitolo sitting off for either side of Diego Costa.
Let's see how the shape, yeah, it's right to look at the shape. It wouldn't be a particular shock to me if we see 2 strikers and in a 4-4-2. I understand the structure you've described. Let's give it a minute or 2 to cook.
Here's Arias. And Costa and Vitolo both made the same run down the right wing. getting in each other's way, so the ball went inside. Arias getting a good foot in there to win it back. And now he gives it to Koke. Thomas Partey looks for Costa. Played by Barragan. Oh, nice footwork from Loren Moron, and there's a cynical challenge by Mario Hermoso, which is a yellow and a half, I'd say, and in fact it's a red. And it's not a total surprise, because not only was it very cynical, it was also on the back of the ankle, dangerous.
I think you've called it absolutely spot on. And irrespective of how these players argue, and irrespective of if there's any discussion from VAR, the way in which the laws are constructed are meant to protect players in a situation like this. Now, that, I think you've called it millimetre perfect, in that this wasn't simply what used to be dubbed the professional foul, the idea that you take one for the team and you don't let an attack brew. But the way in which he chops from behind, you know, if Atleti criticise it, the truth is creative footballers all around Europe were meant to be protected from the tackle from behind. Hermoso has taken an action, the decision, I don't think he'll be criticised for within his own dressing room, but what he does has left Gonzalez making what I would consider to be a spot-on decision. And creative footballers all around Europe will be kneeling down at the end of their beds and praying at night and thanks to the referee if referees eliminate that type of action.
Yeah, it was a tactical foul, wasn't it, in one sense, in the same way that we saw Stefan Savic booked in the first half for pulling back a player on the run just to stop the attack from developing. But it wasn't only a tactical foul, it was a dangerous foul, as you explained. So Loren Moron, who we saw go close to the opening goal not so long ago, now his run has led to the red card initially. The referee is coming over to the screen to review it.
I'm also glad of this. The referee has taken a huge decision. In principle, you and I admire the way he's tried to apply the law, not his own invention of an idea. The law asks referees to be able to send off for that. I'm pleased that VAR has said come and look, because referees get one split-second glance. This is VAR how it should be used.
And confirmed he is off. So the referee, Jose Gonzalez, having reviewed the video, and I think we're both in agreement.
Just good practice, Andy. Really good practice.
Yeah. So Atletico down to 10 after Hermoso with a cynical and dangerous challenge on Loren Moron, exactly the kind that are supposed to be punished with a straight red card. And so he's off. So some reorganisation now, and Diego Simeone has made 4 changes already, and now with more than half an hour to go, he could well feel that he's forced to make his final change as well. Felipe would be the obvious choice, the Brazilian who's been a regular starter this season, returning from a bit of a spell of injury. He would be the man to come on, you'd imagine.
He's got some time to think. Now, he may follow exactly your advice, but when we were talking about Thomas Partey earlier on, he has often played centre-half. So they have room to think about whether they want to continue as they are right now, and Partey has lined up next to Savic as the auxiliary centre-half. Equally, he can make the change.
There's Pedraza looking to get down the left, but it's only cleared by Arias as far as Moreno, who looks for the near post with his right foot. It was just a hopeful stab goalwards, I think, rather than trying to catch Oblak out in the near post.
I'd argue that now it's down to Trujillo. He's got a far more intricate decision to make about how to exploit 11v10. I think Cholo Simeone has really clear options, and a team which is, I was going to say happy playing with 10, is really smart at playing with 10. There's the change you called for. Now Trujillo has to figure that this is a game with space, and a game where Atleti will be stretched and asked to work a lot harder, where the brilliance, and I think that's an advised word, of Joaquin can be even more appropriate. And I would even counsel, if he's willing to pick up his phone, Trujillo to get the captain on.
Carrasco looking for Koke, but it's too far ahead of him, so out for a goal kick. Well, they've got so many options. I'm very much with you. Any opportunities to see Joaquin, I'm all for it.
Yeah.
So that's definitely a change we can see from Betis, but a lot of attacking options with Christian Teo as well for the raw speed. Diego Lainez, the young Mexican, for a bit of trickery. Got Juanmi, a clever striker off Loren Moron. or there's the powerhouse of Borja Iglesias as well.
Yeah,
so
steady.
Lots of options, and even Aleñá in midfield to open things up.
Yep. I think all of those are respectable choices. Barring perhaps Borja. I think if you were brought on now, I'd be gently surprised, simply because he has been playing, not just looked like, he's been playing as if he's shorn of confidence. Let's see, football is a very forgiving sport. I would go beyond the romanticism that you correctly identify you were hearing in my voice. I think Joaquin, once he gets onto this pitch, would be the most intelligent footballer, not just the oldest footballer on the pitch, but the most intelligent soccer player on the pitch. And I think that his use of the ball, particularly Fekir and he, if they're allowed to play in the same team, are like a two-man society for opening up hidden spaces. It's beautiful to watch. And if Trujillo doesn't use that, I'll be a little bit baffled.
We saw on the screen there the possession statistics, 59% in Betis' favour, the away team, and I think we can expect that to shoot up now in the next half hour. Atletico down to 10. Angel Correa coming off, the last change for Diego Simeone, with Felipe taking his place in the back four.
Andy, for my taste, I don't know if you agree, none of it has been null possession. It's been a deliberate possession passing game, but it's been always with the idea of trying to stretch Atleti, trying to open up, trying to build attacks. They haven't come here to control the game and look to go away home with a 0-0 at all. They've been I think they've been very attractive to watch, Los Verdiblancos.
Here they are with possession. Canales opening it up for Carvalho. And now Moreno. Crosses blocked. And falls back to Carvalho. And I'll tell you what, Diego Simeone is relishing this. He's saying, oh great, a challenge. My 10 players have to hold out. And we'll try and get one on the break as well. He loves his team to be tested. Nothing comes easy. Every point has to be earned. You hear the same phrases from him week after week. He'll be quietly sitting on the sidelines, rubbing his hands together.
He's just stripped of the opportunity to wave those gigantic long albatross wings of his at the 60,000 crowd, begging them for more passion and noise.
That's what he would be doing. It's a shame we don't get that sight, but we'll see how his team gets on. Here's Canales, the space on the right for Barragán, sends in the cross away by Felipe, the substitute, getting a first clearance.
There's no way that I'm going to call Diego Costa a disadvantage, but when you're 10, often the goal you want to score is a breakaway goal, and there's no question that Morata on the breakaway is a different proposition than Diego Costa. Costa is full of virtues, even at the age that he is. He's got into shape, but had they still got Morata on, Simeone, I think, would be delighted.
He's Fekir, sends across towards the far post, no one there. He runs across to Alex Moreno. Canales. Shot from Guido Rodriguez that's well off the mark, and I think we've just seen there in that last minute of play, Graham, the pattern of the game that we will have from now on. Betis dominating possession, Atletico sitting back. They've done it for years, they've done it brilliantly for years. Defend their penalty area, let the opposition have the ball in front of them and say, go on then, score.
Yeah, agreed. So the counterpoint to what I was arguing is that if with that sit in, suck them in, rob the ball and break, there's a huge amount of responsibility on Carrasco and Vitolo now that Costa is not the most mobile centre forward. It's not that Atleti are in bad nick. I just would argue strongly that with 10 men and trying to counter-attack, it's the form of play that Morata is happiest in.
Barragán there tangling with Koke, and Barragán has already been booked, so could have been an interesting situation. And that, of course, would change the game again if Betis have a player sent off.
Touch, Andy, look at that from Canales.
Beautiful control. One of the many gifted technicians within the Betis ranks, and they keep the ball moving over to the left for Alex Moreno, who slides the pass inside. It's come back to him. Great block. That was Felipe, I think, who made that block on what looked to be goal-bound, even with Jan Oblak still in the way. Yeah,
without Felipe's movement, just getting in front of it, timing perfect. That's 1-0. Absolutely lovely move.
Here's Pedraza finding space down the left, the clever back heel, looking for Canales, who goes down. but isn't really even appealing for a penalty. Now they go long, looking for that counter-attack with Diego Costa, but he's going to run through for Dani Martin, and we can see Emerson preparing to come on, so he's going for a bit more directness down the right flank. Imagine it'll be Barragán who comes off, perhaps with that yellow card in mind as well.
Without question, with that in mind. And also, do you remember what I said about Pedraza, about the caja de sorpresas? Just a box of surprises. That little back heel, I think, was more hopeful than some of the classic back heels we've seen in recent weeks. And if Canales had had the attitude Marcelo had up in San Mamés the other day, he'd have reached that first and asked questions about whether a tackle could have been put in with fear of committing a penalty. Canales just needed to be a little bit more aggressive in his run towards that back heel.
It's Carvalho. Betis trying to find their way through. There's a challenge on the edge of the box that's not penalised. Loren Moron going down. There's a very poor pass from Moreno straight to Renan Lodi, and Costa's got a big job to do in this kind of position, holding on to the ball, give his team some respite. He did it there, and there's Vitolo now also doing so. Thomas Partey back to Savic. Vitolo controls, and Koke works it out to Thomas. Emerson waiting patiently to come on as we move towards the midway point of the second half in an intriguing game at the Wanda Metropolitano. Atletico had the best of the first half, had 2 goals disallowed, but Betis have very much been an even part of the game as well, and they have an extra man now after a straight red card for Mario Hermoso. And it's going to be Betis dominating possession. Atletico will be really looking for their substitutes to provide all their attacking. Carrasco,
nice.
Vitolo and Costa not long on. Now here's a corner won by Loren Moron.
Shrewd decisions there, because as the ball is swept across from Carvalho, Barragán tells his opponents he's going to do one thing, does another. Canales looks up. There's the moment, if he gets there a little bit quicker, he can not con Vitolo of a penalty, but actually get in a position where a penalty is going to arise, and that block is absolutely fantastic. But Canales winning a penalty there was just, a corner, was just the right decision.
It's taken short to Fekir. Canales going back outside him, and he curls in the cross now, away by Savic, and sent forward rather aimlessly by Barragán, and I wonder if that's going to be his last touch, as Emerson still waits to come on, and now he can, and it is indeed Antonio Barragán. So a replacement in the right back position, but Emerson is a more effective attacking player than Barragán.
An interesting prospect, co-owned with Football Club Barcelona. The Tom beat says that Barcelona are interested in buying out his option a year early. He was due to spend 1 more season at Betis. He's been a big hit. There's definitely a rawness about him, because not only is he young, he's inexperienced, but he is not the product of his athleticism and physique alone. He has got a wit and a surging power, and increasingly he's got a brain about how to use the ball. For my money, a better prospect than Junior Firpo that they bought from the other side of the touchline from Betis the year before. And
now look, Graham, look what's happening. As well as Emerson coming on, we get to see Joaquin, as we both hoped would happen. I'm sure everyone at home watching as well. So Joaquin comes on to replace Carvalho, which, unlike Emerson coming on for Barragán, is not a like-for-like change, so we'll see how that changes the shape.
But Trujillo used Joaquin in a much more central role against Osasuna, and he thrived on it.
Now, here he is on the ball immediately into the area, and Emerson, the other substitute, cutting it back, and Thomas Partey having to send it behind for a corner.
Look at Joaquin, not just on the run, but as the ball's at his feet, he's so sure of his control that he can take a long, it was like up periscope, he took a long extended look about whether the ball needed to go into the box, because he knew with eyes in the back of his head that Emerson was an option, an easy option he could use in the overlap. It's just an education to watch him.
Corner taken short again to Fekir. Joaquin is in support as well, and now back to Canales, and Joaquin swings across towards the far post. Oblak comes and punches away, almost comes to Loren Moron, but Arias is in position, and Koke completes the clearance to halfway. Betis get it back, as they are invariably going to do now. And a good run down the left from Alex Moreno. Can he deliver as well? Nice ball for Fekir, who dummies it. Carrasco was alert to that. But a heavy touch. And Betis have it once more. They're being patient. They're not just throwing everyone into the box. They're looking to play their way through rather than force their way through. And Joaquin will certainly aid them in that endeavour. Canales, Emerson, Joaquin to the byline. Cuts it back, and it couldn't quite be controlled by Loren Moron. They're just trying to pick their way through, aren't they, Graham?
Have you got the stopwatch on? How long has the Maestro been on the pitch?
Oh, 87 seconds, 88.
How much fun has he given us already?
88 minutes worth.
Nicely said.
And he'll be getting the ball a lot. And they'll be looking for Joaquin to unlock this Atletico defence, along with Fekir, Canales. What talent they have on the field.
Yeah, the Fekir dummy, I'm convinced he thought it was Joaquin rather than Canales behind him.
Oh, nice on from Emerson to Fekir, who fires it wide. And it does hit the net, but the wrong side of the back of the net, off the advertising board. But Diego Simeone's team have got some defending to do. And they won't mind that in the next few minutes. And just thought of someone who if he's watching in Italy, Diego Godin, the former Atletico defender, he'll be watching this thinking, I wish I was playing now.
You're not wrong. He used to adore this. And there's not really many players out there in red and white, even though the eras change, who aren't drilled in exactly how to handle this, but more how to handle it defensively. If they were 1-0 up, nobody would be panicking about Atleti with 10 men. Right now, they're being asked big questions, and the really important bit, well, let's see if...
Carrasco wins the free kick. Go on, Graham.
Yeah, and it has to be a booking for being pulled back. If this isn't a booking, the referee's made an error. But Betis have been, as Atleti try to rob and break, they've been really good at winning the second ball, the third ball, because that's when you get hurt against even 10-man Atleti. If they're crowded in and you're on top and you think you're going to get the breakthrough and you miss a pass, their ability to break is really good. But Betis have kept players about 20 metres behind where the play is, looking for the second ball, third ball, and mopping things up. That's been really smart.
Now, this is a position where Atletico can always do harm. A set piece. Carrasco plays it in, and it is the opening goal. And it is Diego Costa with the pinpoint header into the bottom right corner. And is it going to be third time lucky for Atletico? They had 2 goals called off in the first half. I don't see any reason why this one won't count. If it does, Diego Costa has given his team the lead with his 5th goal of the season.
Well, if facial pictures can say 1,000 words, then Cholo Simeone's roar, Trujillo's jutting chin, which is how have my team played them onside. It's classic Atleti. The ball is lovely. The trajectory is absolutely lovely.
Oh, he headed it onto his arm, did he? Or am I just inventing reasons to have another disallowed goal? It looked like it wasn't a clean finish. Well, the referee is being surrounded.
We're having goals by committee at the moment, aren't we?
And Diego Costa, in a typically understated manner, gesticulating to someone.
He's found somebody lent a £5 or £2 the other week, and he wants the money back now.
Let's watch this. Does it come off his arm? Well, wrong angle to tell.
I have to say I didn't think so. I
hope not.
I
hope I'm wrong.
I think it's a goal. I think one of those culpable, I think, is Bartra. Certainly the line is awful there.
He played Costa on. It did look, it was close again, and it will be reviewed, but it looked, I'm hesitant to say this after getting it wrong with the first half goal for Morata, but it looked as though he was just on, didn't it?
And again, I go back to what I said earlier on, our extremely football sharp colleague. There's your angle. There's your angle that gives you sustenance.
Yeah, it's that Benzema finish again. the shoulder. It certainly wasn't off his forehead, was it?
It's maybe lower down, I have to say. And of course, after the Manchester City Spurs tie in the Champions League, there was a re-underlining of the law that there shall be no contact with arm or hand in the creation of a goal. There's going to be new rules as of next season. Now, if this is ruled off, we don't know what's going to be the decision, but the current rules stay through this season, although the date has passed via which the new international board rules say that it depends how far back in the move there's contact with an arm or hand in terms of ruling it out. So when this season finishes, we will all have to upgrade exactly the application of the law that we're talking about right now and that VAR is examining right now. But for the moment, these rules stay as we've used them all season, and the referee has seen and been confirmed.
Yep, it's a goal.
That it's a goal.
It's a goal. So it is third time lucky. There was a moment of doubt, well, a few moments of doubt, and now that takes us to the cooling break, and maybe some of these Betis players will need to cool off, because, well, he always needs to cool off, but the Betis players will be so frustrated having seen Atletico down to 10 men. They had the game under complete control, and then a counter-attack, sucker punch, and it's, as you said, classic Athletic.
Well, also classic Betis in that, you know, we raised the subject about Betis's defending, about Bartra's reliability, but I'm not trying to pin all blame on him, and I pointed out that when we listen to Andrea Orlandi, what he explains to us is that resource-wise, they probably need upgrades in terms of specific defensive decisions, moving, aerial challenges, and that line should not have been broken. If you want to create, it's very much in vogue now at free kicks like that, to create quite a high line so that the keeper, if he has to come for it, won't be coming into a crowd effectively. And now this is where we've
yellow card shown into the stands. A new addition since the restart.
Zufadal seems to be the player booked.
It might be Carvalho, though.
Our director has pointed us towards Carvalho. Zufadal was definitely making some friendly observations. There's no question about that. This has been an odd game. Let me put it like that.
It's been highly enjoyable, though, I have to say.
Fantastic. And so, having finished with the idea that Betis definitely to upgrade their defensive resources, you train often enough that when you create a high line like that, so that the keeper, if he chooses to come, isn't coming into crowded bodies, you then don't break the offside line. That's like, you know, going to the dentist and saying, why are my teeth falling out? Well, have you brushed them? Ah, no, I forgot.
And there's Diego Costa. Typical Diego Costa. I swear, if Atletico go all the way in the Champions League, he scores a winner in the final, he'll still find someone to argue with.
The traditional could start a fight in a phone box on his own. Now we've got very interesting, what will be probably 15, maybe close to 20 minutes with all time added on, whereby the point you were making about how Atleti are trained to be happy defending with 10 against 11. Betis' task is now not just different because of the arithmetic of losing 1-0. They're going to face a side making different positional decisions in red and white, but the interest for us and the viewers continues.
Exactly the situation that Atletico Madrid live for under Diego Simeone. Holding on to a 1-0 lead with 10 men, perfect for them. So Betis have got to try and find a way through. Joaquin, Emerson, Joaquin again. Coque quick to close him down, and you can bet that these Betis players are really fired up as well. They are desperate to get back in the game. There's Canales now to Fekir. Feinted to shoot, but gives it to Moreno instead. Back to Fekir. Goes cross-field, working the width of the pitch. Joaquin lays it off, gets it back from Emerson. Bartra prods it through. Canales to Joaquin, to Emerson. Getting down the side now, sending the cross. Deflected by Renan Lodi, and it hit Emerson on the way out. So it will be an Atletico throw. And just on that point, Betis, Graham, Betis don't really have anything to play for. They're safe. They're not going to challenge for anything, but professional pride is on stake now.
I'm going back to my point I made earlier about the City. I understand your point. Yeah. I understand that they've rescued themselves. And yes, you're right that there are a bunch of good professionals out there who will be stung and will want to travel home with a point or points. But probably everybody who supports a club listening in now all around the world, from Austin to Adelaide to Aberdeen, it doesn't matter. My club cares, we care. Sevilla is different, and Betis are the dominant club in that city of Sevilla, and these players have to live with their fans, commute with their fans, go to restaurants, cinemas. It doesn't matter and the fans are very demanding, and therefore they have that in the back of their mind. You play for Betis, you take on that responsibility.
There's going to be 2 new entrants to the game. We saw getting ready as make a bit of a hash of clearing the lines here, Betis, with Cristian Tello and Borja Iglesias waiting to come on. Here's Diego Costa causing more mayhem. There's a player down. It's Guido Rodriguez who went down after tangling with Diego Costa, who continued his run after that arm towards the face. I think there was contact. Nothing violent there from Costa. He was just protecting the ball, protecting himself, and he ended up winning a corner. So Carrasco will take it, having delivered a wonderful free kick from the last dead ball situation that led to Diego Costa's goal. Carrasco this time towards the near post, headed away by Emerson. Koke can't win it in the air, but Thomas Partey can win it on the ground, and now Vitolo for Arias to cross, but it's blocked. And there's the tactical foul from Vitolo, stopping Loren Moron from breaking quickly, and that will be the double change from Betis, the last 2. It's Alex Moreno. So Teo will come on as a very advanced left back, or probably Pedraza will go back to left back with Teo on the wing, and Loren Moron is going to come off. So a straight swap up front rather than the 2 of them. Does that surprise you, Graham, that he's taken off one of the strikers, a striker for a striker, rather than going with 2 up for the last few?
I don't know. Loren's done a very good job. He's probably run himself into the ground. It's a respectable decision.
And now the aerial power of Borja Iglesias will come to the fore, with Atletico defending deep. Betis will have the chance to put crosses in, like this one from Teo. His first contribution, it's cleared away. Sidney with unconventional attempt to control. It bounces off him, and Thomas Partey turns well to find Vitolo. He gets away from Teo and then makes the most of the contact to go to ground to win the free kick. And this is all about game management now from Atletico, not just defending, but moments like that. Yeah. Win a free kick, take time off the clock, win some territory.
Well, Cholo Simeone came in and revolutionised his club in Christmas 2011, I think. And so he's about to complete 9 years. And in that time, my calculation is that approximately 75 times his side has won 1-0. It's their emblematic score.
Surprised it's so few. I'd have thought 75 a season almost, if there were 75 games. But yes, take the point. It's been the way his team wins, and they're on track to rack up another one. Canales flicks it on, and there's Fekir doing well to help it back to Canales. Emerson is wide with a bit of space to run into. Carrasco goes over to close him down. Joaquin in support. So to Guido Rodriguez. Into Borja, looking to turn. He's forced wide, where he finds Joaquin. Now Bartra to Sidney. Fekir taking over. And Teo. Can he have a run now at Arias? Vitolo wouldn't let him because he made the challenge first. And Diego Costa keeping the ball for Atletico. And then another free kick won by Vitolo.
He's a Canary Islander, but he was a Sevilla man for long enough. He's got an extra stake in making sure that Los Verde Blancos don't go away from here with a point. And it's interesting, I suppose it's natural, but Atleti in open play are able now to choose to play higher up, as we look at a beautiful 360-degree shot of the way in which Carrasco's cross is headed home. No chance for the keeper by Diego Costa, but they can choose to defend a little bit higher up and squeeze the pitch a little bit because they know that Borja isn't going to run in behind. Teo, maybe, the wing-backs maybe, but compared to Loren, who's reasonably nippy, Borja has no pace.
Carrasco in a bit of a wrestling match and it eventually falls to Sidney to clear, but he doesn't make a very good job of it. And the ball is fed in for Costa to chase. Pedraza holds him off and is able to find a teammate. Canales controlling well and opens up some space for Emerson now. And he has fresh legs, having only just come on 10 minutes or so ago. Joaquin fouled into the final few minutes of normal time. Atletico leading by 1. And remember, that result would be enough to secure Champions League football again next season. They will finish in the top 4 with a win today. Fekir just getting caught in two minds, losing out. Renan Lodi now sending it long. Not long enough to reach Carrasco. And Joaquin on the run. Emerson outside him. Borja and Theo in the middle. Goes back to Joaquin. Stabbed inside to Fekir. Onto his left foot to shoot. Takes a deflection. And I think it deflected off. Borja Iglesias did it. Behind for a goal kick.
I think that would be just about right. That would just about sum up Borja's season, yeah.
Even when he doesn't want to touch it, he somehow has a negative impact. It's been such a tough campaign for him. And you don't think there's a chance that Pellegrini will want to keep him?
The Borja of last season and the season before and coming up from the Segunda, maybe. I think there's a market for him. The investment in was so high that he's not mobile enough, as far as I'm concerned, for a Pellegrini style. If he was guaranteeing you 10 headed goals and a total of 17 or 18 a season, then maybe. But I think that there are markets for him. West Brom were interested. I think that the investment in him financially, for the number of goals he's returned them, has been so disproportionate that if they can cash their chips in, I think they probably will.
It will be hard work for a lot of directors of footballs and agents in the coming weeks, with a much shorter transfer window than normal and an uncertain financial situation as well. So interesting to see the transfer market all round, and whether Borja Iglesias in particular falls into that.